Today is the last day. You have 1 day left before the EDGEFINDER is going back to its standard price and is no longer 50% off. The EDGEFINDER is a trading software tool that traders around the world are using to find better trade setups right now, using things like the Smart Money Tracker, which reflects the COT reports, retail sentiment. It also tracks seasonal trends for traders who are looking to take advantage of seasonality, and it creates a watch list each and every day for traders that use this from all over the world. People in North America, and parts of Africa and Asia and Europe are all using the EDGEFINDER to build better data-backed trading setups. If you've been watching the channel for a while and you're familiar with our software, then I want to let you know that our half-off sale is ending soon and I don't want you to miss out. If you would like to get more information about the software, make sure to message us right now using the link that is down below. You'll be connected directly to someone on our team to ask them about the half-off sale. But wait, it gets better. If you direct message us, it's 55% off. You get an extra 5% off just by messaging someone on our team who can connect you to the tool, get you set up, and if you'd like, you can set up a call to go over the software if that would be helpful to you. We want to make sure this software is a right fit for you. We're not just trying to sell this to anybody, and we'd like to connect and get to know you before we sell you the software. So again, click that link and let us know that you're interested in the half-off sale before it ends. And remember, 55% is available if you do direct message us now. USD JPY went up 200 pips this morning, made a break and retest, and then boom, very nice movement here this morning, guys. Dollar yen, interesting. I think the 2-year. What happened with the 2-year? Little bit of upside here. What about the 1-year? Gosh, that's a terribly ugly chart. 10-year. Okay, why am I pulling this up? Well, guys, when you're pulling up yen pairs, it's kind of key to keep an eye on the yields in the United States. They have a big impact on it. They move generally in the same direction. The 2-year moves the same direction usually as dollar yen, okay? And of course, that is the bond market. If you guys don't know the bond market, guys, is for real traders only, okay? If you're a fundamentalist, you only look at the bond market. I feel like I don't know anybody. Everybody and their brother and their mother and their sister trades FOREX. They trade, binary options. They trade options. They trade leverage. They trade, that's what all traders who are new to this stuff do. I don't know one stinking person who trades the bond market as a beginner or as a new trader. Why? It's a boring market, but boring doesn't mean bad. In fact, real traders trade the bond market. A lot of them do. Okay. Ivan is trying to hostile takeover. Vetoed. Ivan, dollar yen I made a move up. Nice. JPY move today is because of comments from lack of tweak to YCC yield control curve. Okay. Thank you, Ivan, for that. Yeah. So JPY specifically, good points there, Ivan. Thank you for sharing. Big move to the downside for the Japanese yen, guys. This is a huge move. If you're watching yen pairs, we've got to let's move a little faster here and take a look at some pairs. Ivan, you mentioned CAD JPY in the chat here. So CAD yen making a move up, pound yen making a move up, and this, guys, actually reconfirms just straight bullishness on yen pairs. Again, as Ivan just pointed out in the chat here for us, monetary policy from Bank of Japan, if there's not solid, plans to back up the currency, the yen has been very weak. If their plans to do so are not, not even convincing the market at all, that probably gives more weakness to the yen and upside to counters to the yen, right? Euro yen, right? That's a counter to the yen, right? Euro goes up if the yen goes down, kind of thing. So on and so forth. So right now, Euro yen looks really good. Wow. Very, very, very good moves here occurring on the yen pairs. And I actually really like this. So again, I've got gold long already. I mentioned that as a trade I'm at, but I really also like this concept here. Pullbacks perhaps to the 50% retracement. This is a 4-hour chart, so you can probably even see this on the 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour looks real clean. We could tighten this up a little bit on the 1 hour chart. That 50% level looks really good, Ivan. I would say I'm looking at this with starry eyes. Ivan says the point is, after I told you yesterday, the market made a break higher and came back to support, so you could have traded it. You're right, Ivan. You know, to be honest though, Ivan, I've been really focused. I mentioned this to you yesterday and to everyone on the stream. We've been focusing really heavily on the indices recently. I've been trading a lot of indices and a lot of gold. And I do, however, want to keep an eye on the yen pairs as well. So I'm very interested, and I'm willing to look for this pullback. I don't necessarily like dollar yen as much as euro yen, if I'm being honest. Let's take a look at smart money, see what's going on with COT data. We do get COT data tonight, guys. For those of you guys who track the commitment of traders data, shows us what pros are buying and selling, hedge funds and that sort of thing. Euro still very hot, yen very short. So when we compare this currency pair, we see, you know, the euro is very bought by institutional traders and the yen is very shorted by institutional traders. So when we compare those two things, okay, I'd rather be buying the yen, the euro, and selling the yen. Okay. Retail is still very short. We could take a look at retail for a second. And in just a minute, we are going to be having Kenzo joining the stream here to go over some charts here with us as well. We'll see what he's interested in, so you guys get a little bit more mix of different currency pairs and assets. Euro yen here, guys. Retail is very short. They're really betting against the euro yen. And that's part of the reason why I'm actually more interested on the long side. If retail is very heavily crowding a trade, I like to be on the other side, as retail traders tend to lose money. And so if they're all piled into a short on euro yen, I'm going to look for potential long side opportunities. So I am very interested in looking for a pullback. And if it does come down to this previous level of resistance, that's where I'm going to be really the most interested. So again, that is what's on my watch list personally today. I had one loss on gold overnight. I mentioned this earlier. If you're just tuning in, I picked up gold a first time around 1972. Well, actually, no, I bought it at right around 1969, and then price fell through the floor. That was my trigger to go ahead and get out. So I took a loss, but then I decided to re-enter this morning as it hit the 618. Okay, so if I look at this on a 4-hour chart, this is my setup. I'm currently in this trade. I'll show you my position. So this is my current position, and it's 9:46. I'm going to actually go ahead and put a stop loss on this trade because I was supposed to. Don't do what I just did, and I've not made this mistake in a while, but I'm going to add a stop to my trade. So I have 600 shares. So I need to add a stop loss on this trade. So we're going to sell stop at, I'd like to put my stop loss at 181.44. Okay, stop loss should be there. And sell. So this is a stop, 181.44. We're going to sell it there. Okay, there we go. I had a stop loss on that trade. That's my bad, guys. Don't make that mistake, especially in front of YouTube. You will get destroyed. But anyways, I do have this trade on. If I get stopped out a second time on gold, guys, if I do end up getting hit on this, that's going to go ahead and mark the last attempt for me for now. Okay, so I took a trade up in these regions, didn't work out. I took a second attempt here this morning, and if it does not work out, I'm probably done. So I'm floating minus 200 at this time. If this market does start to rally, that'll be awesome. We'll see if we can get some more upside. And let's go back to that COT report data, see if there's any updates on this. So again, COT, I made mention to some of the stronger. So gold is still, part of the reason I like gold is gold still has a very heavy, long presence from hedge funds and asset managers and institutions. They seem to be very long. Shubham says, I'm sorry if I said your name incorrectly. Shubham. Nice. One question, Nick, one question, Swiss yen. Both are on the short side in COT and the inflation is higher in Japan, but the pair is all-time high. Is it because the Swiss National Bank has been buying Swiss franc, or is it due for a correction? I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't actually watched a lot of Swiss pair stuff recently. And in terms of COT data, you made mention to where institutions are buying and selling. Swiss is right here. Yen is right here. So they're pretty short heavy on both of these things. And if I'm being honest, the reason I don't really like this pair is because these are two super risk off currencies, right? Generally speaking, the Swiss franc is a safe haven currency, and so is the Japanese yen. I personally like to trade divergences where one is a risk on currency like GBP or AUD or NZD versus a risk-off currency like Swiss franc or Japanese yen. There's nothing wrong with trading this pair if you have a reason to do so. And I don't know all the logistics about what's going on with the Swiss National Bank personally, so I don't want to comment on something fundamentally that I don't know anything about. So I'm not going to make something up for you. It's just a pair that I don't pay attention to. You can only focus on so many things. I don't pay a lot of attention to oil as well. It's not something I specialize in. There's OPEC supply to keep in mind. There's just too many things on the fundamental side to trade a million different assets. Same reason why I don't really trade individual stocks that much. My top priority is focusing on NASDAQ, gold, yen pairs, dollar pairs. That's about where I'm at, right? I trade the S&P as well. And then, yeah. So anyways, is the euro safe haven or a risk on currency? Andy boy, it kind of flips. It could be both, weirdly enough.
Yes. Actually, today I was looking at gold and NASDAQ and US30. So I'm expecting a nice, maybe a very nice sell on gold. It seems like it's breaking out of that area. I can call that actually a support area. So another thing is this sell actually that I'm expecting to hold this sell, because if you still remember, next week we have FOMC. And there is a chance for them to increase the rates, maybe. And even though the CPI, actually core CPI, went a bit lower, but I know they will still say things went lower, but the inflation is still very high. So maybe I think we have maybe one chance to see that increase. And if that increase happens, it means maybe we might see another retest on this support before we push up again. So on NASDAQ, things were quite different because of Netflix and Tesla yesterday. So we saw actually a sell. So today I was expecting the market to actually push up, but if especially today we don't actually have any economic news, I think everyone is thinking about FOMC, what might happen. And if they increase the rates, it's not going to be much of a surprise, but I think the market might still sell before we see another push to the upside. You see, that's what I was actually checking this week. So it's a bit difficult actually to trade when we expect high impact news.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Kenzo. I mean, as you mentioned, I think one of the big things right now with the markets, when we get these lulls where there's like, okay, there's no news today, market does start to pay attention, as you mentioned, to kind of what's that next catalyst for us. And of course, as you mentioned, we do have a meeting next week, which will decide whether or not they decide to raise rates. There is pretty much a consensus right now, pretty hefty consensus that they will raise in the upcoming meeting. The bigger question, as kind of always is after that meeting, what is the next thing? Are they truly going to pause, or is there potential that they continue to rate hike again? And as you mentioned, we had CPI come out, core and headline, very, very good. As we discussed last week during this segment together, you know, CPI, it was a smash hit across the board. And the question will be, you know, is that going to be enough to really, truly nail in the coffin for not this upcoming meeting, but perhaps the next one, really rule out the idea of any more rate hikes? That will be very interesting to say. And Kenzo, I thought that was interesting that you pulled up gold. I actually am long gold, but I want to ask you, are you in your gold short, or are you looking to short gold if it breaks the current support level?
Yes, I'm actually waiting for it to break. If it breaks, then I will just jump on that sell. But on a long time, I'm actually on a bullish momentum. So I'm actually on a bullish. If it breaks now, I will just take that quick sell. But the trend still shows us, I think this might be this wave of FOMC before maybe we see another push. If it doesn't really break, I'm still actually bullish, because we are actually on a very nice uptrend.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And I think, you know, your potential sell there, Kenzo, is actually very interesting, because despite me being long in this current area, pretty near where you would enter a sell would probably be where I would also agree to go ahead and stop out of my trade. So it's interesting that we kind of have that chart lined up together. What's cool, Kenzo, is we've been doing this for a while together, and we oftentimes have similar chart markups and similar analysis. It's always cool to see that, even though we're very far physically apart, we have the same kind of trade setups and concepts that we're paying attention to. So always cool to see that. So you mentioned gold, you mentioned NASDAQ. What about on the currency side? Do you have any thoughts on what's been going on with the dollar, or I know the Japanese yen is kind of a hot topic here today. What are you looking at, any currency pairs right now?
I did check actually Euro USD and USD CHF. Yesterday, actually, we did actually make some very nice profit. If you still remember, dollar last week, it was pushing like aggressively lower, but now it's starting to push to the upside. And I think this is the start of that movement of FOMC. Since we now expect them to increase and the news are very closer, I think the market will try to cover this gap. You can see the gap of this sell was crazy on on USD CHF. On Euro USD, if you did check also, the market was crazy pushing to the upside. We had a nice breakout yesterday. We also took a very short sell, but I still believe that the market can still cover this space, especially because of actually interest rates. Maybe actually Monday, Tuesday, we might reach that we might cover this gap. If they increase, I don't think we're gonna have is actually a serious move. I think the increase will be touching maybe our supports bouncing back. I don't think we wanna see a long week of a sell. So because after that, obviously, as you said, after the increase is what's next. If maybe they say, okay, I think the increase is fine, the CPI went a bit lower, maybe this will be the last increase, whatever, that is going to be actually positive. And it's actually what we want, you see. So yeah, we can't just go full on sell just because they might increase the rate. What's important is what happened next. And that can be tricky, you see.
Yeah, no, and I think that's where perhaps the market is kind of looking for its next, decisive trend is waiting on that meeting and perhaps any statements that could allude to, as you mentioned, what happens next, or forward looking is another way of saying that, right? Like the market is constantly looking forward. It's looking ahead of time to see what is coming. Like I said, there is sort of a pretty strong consensus that they'll probably rate hike one more, but the question is from there, what does it look like? Speaking of that concept when it comes to rates, if we truly are nearing the end of the rate hikes and we start into a pause period, that hope is what has been driving the price of gold higher, as well as the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. And we've actually seen recently, Kenzo, the UK 100 or the FTSE has actually joined the party too, with CPI coming down quite a bit in the UK. Do you have any thoughts on pound pairs? I know pound kind of gave back some of its gains. Any ideas on pound pairs right now?
Not really much. I did not really take any trade on GBP, but I was also checking what's really happening. I saw that it was going down, but I was actually focusing on the dollar because the interest rate is very closer. But I know if they pause the rates, GBP is still going to follow the same thing, because if you still remember, on next week Wednesday, it's US interest rates. Then on Thursday is gonna be European interest rates, if I still remember. So which means they are very close to each other. So if you check them both, actually you might end up getting the market will just consolidate. So I think the power just went off on my side. But anyways, I think actually it's better to check on US, because everyone is actually going to follow what the US is going to do. I also saw other countries, they're starting to pause the rates, you see. So I think it's just trying to follow actually US. Or actually in general, inflation is slowly going down, which means CPI is actually going down.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.